So now that we've got some runners in our database, before we go ahead and do our activities, let's implement our main handler to generate some HTML that shows the contents of our database. In other words, let's learn how to write a query into our query of our database to extract some data, and we'll use that to generate some HTML. Well, I mentioned the Google App Engine Data Store includes an API for manipulating the database. You've already seen the put method for adding an instance of an entity into the database. Now we're going to learn how to do a query. So let's go ahead and start by just writing a little header here. We'll say just here's going to be our list of runners, and let's make this bold so it'll be pretty, and make a new line. So the rest of the content will be on another line. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to do a query. The way that you do queries in Google App Engine is you first go to your class and call the all method. This essentially says, give me a list of all of the instances of this class. It sounds like it's a really expensive thing, but don't worry about it. It doesn't actually do the query yet. We're just setting up the query. The way it works is you start by saying I want everything, and then you can use filters to reduce what it is you're querying. And when you build up the query, you haven't actually executed the query yet. You're sort of just specifying the query, and then we'll have a mechanism for executing the query and iterating over the results. And I promise you it works very, very efficiently. For now, we're not going to filter. We're just going to ask for all of them. But why don't we sort them by name? So we can, what we have to do is take the result of that. It's actually a query, so we'll store that in a local variable. I'll call it runner query. And now once we have that query, we can do other things on it, like sort it. And for that, we use the special order method. And you pass as a parameter the name of the field that you want to order by, in this case, name. That's enough for a query. Now we can iterate over the query. So the way that we get a list of the items in the query is by calling the run command. This has nothing to do with our run. This means like run the query. So this runs the query and essentially generates a list of items in the query. And so given that list, we can iterate over them with a for loop. So we can say for a runner in the result of this run command. And now runner is one of the instances of our runner class, and we can go and use it. So we can get the runner's name and email and generate some HTML. So let's go ahead and write that out. Write out some HTML. The way we'll do that is we'll just say we want to write out the runner and assume that the runner itself knows how to generate a string version of itself that's nice for printing. Well, we know how to do that. This is Python. We can add one of these underscore str methods and return a string that represents itself. And maybe we'll just return the name and the email address separated by a colon. This is running on the instance of this class, so we have to say self like this. Once we've done that, we're in pretty good shape. Why don't we add a break so we get on a new line in between each runner. That should be the basics of it. Let's try it out. So go to we'll make a new tab, maybe put this at the beginning, and just ask for the root directory, and well, it sort of worked. We got runners, but we didn't get our list of actual runners. Let's see if we can figure out why. So, why isn't this displaying our runners? Well, when PyCharm gives a warning by highlighting something, it's worth listening to it. The warning says unresolved attribute reference name. In other words, it's not finding a name, and it's because we put this string generation in the wrong class. This is an add runner handler. We were trying to generate a string for runner, which is up here. So I have a hard time talking and recording video and typing new code at the same time apparently, so it makes some mistakes. But anyway, we see that error. I pasted, move this into the right place. The highlight goes away. Let's go ahead and rerun this, and sure enough, our runners are now correct, right? It queried our database and generated HTML to display that. So that's getting kind of cool. So we've got our basic structure for runners working. Next thing is to go ahead and build something similar for our activities.